Welcome back everybody to another deck profile video here with Chris from TCG The Sand Elites. And today I'm going to be going over my current Frieza deck that I have, which I have been playing with. Obviously don't have all of the stuff from set 10 yet, but even with the cards that come in the structure deck and some other cards that you can play in it, this deck is extremely mean. Does not let your opponent have a hand, and kind of revolves a lot around crit. A decent amount of it revolves around crit. But before we get into the video, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Hit that bell for all the notifications. We're closing in on our 400 subscriber goal. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. We are still working with a distributor about some giveaway stuff. With all the COVID stuff still kind of looming in the US, it's not as easy as I would like it to be. So definitely trying. I'll give you guys an update on more on that once we get there. And make sure you guys let me know if there's certain deck profiles you guys want to see me do. I know there's we have about 4 or 5 requests right now. Working on them, trying to get some of the cards back for some of these requests. Some of them were from our battle videos, some of them are just in general. So I have them all listed down. I'm just kind of going through, kind of just checking off every video that I have on this list. So those are going to be coming up soon. So with this leader, the most important thing with this leader is that you cannot include Saiyan cards in your deck. I know someone tried to tell me because on the Awakened side it doesn't say it. You can include like the draw apes and things, and you can't. So don't do that. Someone will be a rule shark and get you for that. So don't do that. So no Saiyan. So it limits what we can play. Can't play things like Vegeta the Cruel. Can't play the new Great Ape, Mass Saiyan SCR. Can't play, blue green and play the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. But there is a ton of cards you still can play, and actually it kind of works out this way. Since now we don't have to try to put any of those cards in the deck. What this leader does is, on the front side, whenever you attack, you can choose one Frieza army card in your battle area, place it in the drop, and then your opponent drops a card from their hand, and you can add one card from your life to your hand. So you can kind of built-in self-awaken with it. And also some hand destruction, being able to early, drop some cards from your opponent's hand at 4 life. You draw one and untap one. And on this side, you attack, you draw a card. And now you have the same effect, but instead of attacking to do it, it's just an active main. So you can choose one Frieza army card in your battle area, put in the drop, and now you choose a card in your opponent's hand, so very similar to, Selder destroying Kamehameha. And then you give one of your green Unisons crit. Now, the one green Unison I'll put on the screen here that we don't have access to yet is the Bardock Paternal Unison, which is not a Saiyan. So I'm sure somebody will say, hey, you can't play this because it's a Saiyan. It doesn't have a special trait that says a Saiyan because Unison cards have no special traits, so you can play it. And this Unison's a lot better than the current one that we use because you can give that card triple attack. And this card being able to, give it crit as well. You have a triple attack crit. It's just really, really good. But since you don't have that, we're going to use the one from the starter deck, and it works out pretty well as of right now. So we'll get here into the deck. So first thing with this deck is this deck is very, very, very dependent on having a Unison, at least in its current form. So 4 of the Frieza Zeno Darkness Overflowing. And then the other part of this combination is Frieza's Healing Pot. So I'll go over the Unison first. What this Unison does on the permanent, this card were to lose a marker from an opponent's attack, you can place one card from your life in the drop area. So if they're getting hit with dual attack, or not dual attack, but double strike, you actually can take 1 life and crit it, because it specifically says 1. So you take a life, put it in the drop area, you can save this card, and you also can self-awaken that way. The +1 is you draw 1 and discard 1, or you do that in reverse. You discard a card and then you drop a card. I'm sorry, you discard a card and you draw a card. Then the active main for -1, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards 4 less and KO it, or choose one of your opponent's Unisons and remove a marker from it. So you actually can pop a Unison if it has one life. One left. You can swing at it first with this, and then use the active main to pop it. There's some cool little cute things you can do with it, but mainly it's going to be the +1. And +1 works a lot with the particular cards in this deck. With this as well. So what this card does We've actually, here at the St. Elise, we were testing this card for, actually as soon as the starter deck came out. We were just like, hey, this is kind of a cool idea. Well, I don't know if it actually would work, but we can kind of figure it out. And we ran it for a while, tried to find some other things to work around it, and then some YouTubers kind of made it blow up, and this card flew up in price, and we're like, okay, well, we might as well just run it like we were. So what this card does, whenever you play a green battle card from the drop area, you can draw one, and then the active main, it's kind of hard to see because of the foiling, but for 2 green and 2 colorless, you can place this card in the drop, and then you can choose one battle card 4 or less from your drop area and play it. So you actually can play out a 4-drop for 4 energy from this. That's if you don't have the card in your hand, and it works really well because, like I said, a lot of the stuff in this deck we're going to be playing from the drop area. So we'll come back to this effect here in a second, but we're gonna go over some of the battle cards here. So we run a lot of 1-drops because we're gonna use a lot of these 1-drops to pop. So we want the most efficient use of energy to get the most efficient draw power and the most efficient hand control power. So we run 3 Infernal Emperor Frieza. This is if we were playing against a matchup that does not want to swing at us. We can play it, draw a card from our life, swing with leader, pop this, and then make them drop a card, and then we can take another life. So for 1 energy, we take 2 life. Dodoria the Cold-Blooded, same idea. This one is going to be for decks that maybe want to swing at us, but they don't have very good card advantage. We want to swing at this, give them, it has double strike. We'll swing in, make them get down, to 3 or 4 life really, really early, and also being able to take life. We can pop this card as well. This Dodoria here is the main draw engine in the deck. So what this card says, if your leader is a green Frieza and you have a green Unison card in play, when this card is placed in the drop area from your hand by a skill, you may play it from your drop area. So, skill. When you use your +1, you +1, so you discard a card and you draw a card. You're going to discard this, draw a card off this. When this card hits the drop area, this auto goes into effect. Now you can play this card out for free, which also works with this. So, how this tandem, or how these this little effect here works. You have both these cards out. You use sorry, the light's really, really bright. So we use this ability. Drop 1, draw 1. Drop this card, draw a card off of this. Auto. We play this card out, we draw a card off of this. So for 0 energy, we're drawing 2 cards. Extremely good. Extremely, extremely good. On the Awakened side, there's times where I'm not even going to swing with my leader, generally. I'm just going to do this effect, and then because I'll give this card crit, I'll just swing in with this and then just pass. Unless I have more hand destruction I can do. Also with this card, if you have a Unison in play, and your leader's a green Frieza, you can tap 1 green and bring this card back from the drop to your hand. So for 1 energy, you can recycle this card. Now obviously you can only do this once per turn. But if you don't have this in your hand at the start of your turn, you just charge, tap 1, put this in your hand, activate this, drop this, draw the card, activate this auto, play this card back out, draw 1 from that. They can counterplay this, but it's kind of a waste, because if they can't warp it, if it just goes to the drop, if it goes back to your hand, it's fine. I mean, they're wasting counterplays on a 1-drop. That's just drawing you cards, and you can just continuously do this every single turn. So that's the main draw engine in the deck, and as I showed you guys already, we run 4 of those Dodorias. The next 1-drop is where are we at here? 3 Zarbon, the right-hand man. So this is going to get replaced with the promo that's coming out, mainly because he has a 5k power and he has some recycling ability as the Dodoria does, and this will allow us to play Fuse Zamasu Deity's Wrath in this deck, which is a card that I wish I could play, but as of right now it doesn't really fit. What this card does, so in the meantime we have this. When you play it, it's a search top 5 for a green Unison or a green Unison with a specific cost of 2, so we search out the Bardock and the Frieza, or a green Frieza army card with a 4 or less. So most of our deck, you can play them out. This card also has a very good pitching effect. So when this card is in the drop area, you can activate battle, pitch this to the warp, and now you can give your Unison or your leader 10k for the battle. So it's good if you're going in. It's good also if you just need an extra 10k combo. You don't have one in your hand that you want to be able to, you know, combo out of an attack. Yeah, right there. So we got 3 of those. 3 hit hasty dispatch dispos. This allows us to, if we don't have any battle cards in play, which for the most part we don't really play a ton at once. We're gonna have a main of maybe 1 or 2 on board. But if our board gets cleared, we have no other cards to pop in our hand, we can warp this from the drop and play a 1-drop out with skills negated. But it's fine, because if you play a card out from the drop area, we're still able to draw off of this, and then we're still able to pop it, and then do all that fun stuff. So, we're on 3 of those. 1 Master Roshi. When I see this card, this is going to be one of the cards that I will pitch. If it's in the drop area, I can send it to the warp and bring a green extra card back from the drop to my hand. Just a good way to get some negates or some extra cards back. 2 of the Genyus from the starter deck. I play this card out probably the least out of everything in the deck. When you play it out, you get to choose your leader or your green Unison and give it 10k for the turn. And then whenever this card is placed in the drop area from the battle area by a skill, this card goes back to your hand. So you can put this on board, give your Unison 10k, pop it with your leader effect, goes back to your hand, and then your Unison gets crit. So now your Unison becomes a 25k crit base. That's really cool in theory, but for 2 energy, I would rather just play out a Dodoria for the draw power, and then use that other energy for something else. But it's just kind of in here just as a placeholder, just because it is a decent card. Once the new tournament, like once new promos come out, I'll probably end up getting rid of this card. This may end up being a Bardock Unison slot, so we will see. Super combos. I was running the Piccolo defensive stance, and then I got this card, and then I was like, okay, I'm able to play this card now. It's fine. Same thing, 4 or less. When it's using a combo, you draw a card. This card can be brought back out with hasty dispo, and then you can't use it that turn, but you can use it on your opponent's turn defensively to combo and draw a card. Now we get into the Frieza part of the deck. So we have the Frieza package. So we run 4 of the 2-drop Terrifying Transformation. Whenever this card is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, you draw 2. So if they bounce it back off the field, they put it in your energy, they KO it, they warp it. When it is removed from the field, you draw 2. So they kind of don't want to remove this, but they're going to have to because of its active main. So if it's active main, you can choose 1 green Frieza with an energy cost of 4 in your hand or your drop, play it on top of this card in active mode. We never want to play it from our hand. That is just a waste of hand size. But we are going to be able to play it from our drop. Now, this card here, I have a few different targets that I run. And just keep in mind, anything that you play out from the drop with this effect, you can draw from this. So if you play out a freeze on top of this, you're going to draw off of this. So just another way to have some synergy in the deck. So we'll put Frieza here. So we run the Frieza from the starter deck, Cosmic Horror. Out of the 3 that they give you, this is probably the best one. I think that there's 2 or 3 of them in the actual deck. I know there's a Xeno one, and I thought there was another one. Maybe it's just those 2. So this one, when you play it, you get to choose an effect. You either get to pop one of your opponent's battle cards, or choose one of your opponent's Unisons and remove a marker from it. And it's a 20k dual attack. So this is just a great way to just apply pressure on the board. And because it can be played from the drop area, when this card dies, as long as we can get this back, with, like I said, we have hasty dispatch dispo, so we can bring this back. Can't use it that turn, but if it survives, we can play it again. But playing this here, this card is just great. It pops anything. No energy requirement, no power requirement. As long as it doesn't have barrier, it pops it. And then we can choose a marker from your opponent's Unison and remove it, but it also just has dual attack as a 20k. 2 surprise attack Friezas. This one I'm generally not going to play out. off of this effect. If one of your opponent's cards are KO'd, you play this card from your hand for free. But if I'm not really able to do that, I can actually play this out. It's a 15k crit. Pretty good for pressuring. Not as good as the Cosmic Horror, but just gives me a crit card that I can play out for free or as a option for the Frieza. And then I run a 1 of the Energy Barrage Frieza. So this is a really cool card. When you play this, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards with barrier, ignoring barrier, and KO it. So this is a very specific card. It's really there for the Invoker matchup, for Universe 11, for people who have Piccolo Simulated ability, any of those annoying barrier cards. You just play one of these to pop it. Now this has barrier, so certain counterplays can't hit it, like Vegeta the Cruel, but anything else that has that bounces it back or kills it before it hits the board, it will get hit. It is also nice because it's a 5k combo, so it's not like the Surprise Attack Frieza, which is a 10k combo. But this is only for barrier cards, so I probably won't play this unless my opponent has a barrier card. If I know they don't play barrier cards, I'll just charge this, just because it's a free charge at that point. So in total, we run 6 targets for the Frieza chain. As I said before, using that ability from the drop area allows you to draw a card off of this, so more drawing power. Speaking of Piccolo, run 2 Piccolo Simulated ability. It's my favorite. I think I can say it's my favorite green card. I love this card. Love it so much I bought all 4. I bought a whole playset of them. This card here is very, very good. Has barrier, 4-drop. Once per turn, if you have a bond 2, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards, 5 or less, and KO it. And then if you do, you draw a card. Once we can get this card established on the field, every card we play out, whether it's a Frieza or one of our Frieza army cards, will give us bond 2. So we can swing. Let's say on our Awakened side we have like a 1-drop on board. Like let's say we have like a Zarbon or something on board. We can swing with Leader, because now we have bond 2. We can use this to pop a card, draw it, and then at the end of the turn, at the end of that attack, we can use Frieza's ability to pop this, make them drop a card, and just gives you more ability to waste resources in your opponent's hand. Thought about putting a 3rd one in. 2 seems like plenty. Adding a 3rd one kind of takes away from some of the stuff in the deck. So as of right now, 2 seems to be pretty good. 3 Shocking Death Ball, and maybe 4, depending on how I see things go. It has sparking effects. You can use it to awaken. This deck really doesn't need awakening because you have so much of it. But also, we can use this to pop a card. And if you use it to pop a card, we actually can play out the Frieza, this Surprise Attack Frieza, the 15k crit from our hand for free. More negates. 3 Kakunsa, probably my 2nd favorite green card. This queen is really expensive now, and she's like $45-50. I bought a full playset of them for like $10 a piece. I would not spend $45 on this card. It is not worth $45. It's probably worth $25. That's kind of where it was sitting around, I think, for its market price. Very, very good card though. It's 2-drop negate that also KOs a card. So for 2 energy, you can negate 2 different. You can negate 2 different attacks. You can negate a leader swing and then KO a battle card, or negate a battle card and then KO another one. And it gives you a 20k body on board that allows you to go in and swing. It also helps with your Piccolo, so you can have bond effects as well. Because if you have a Piccolo on board, you negate with this, and then they go to swing with something else. It's 5 or less. You can just use Piccolo's ability to pop it because it's an activate battle. We got 3 of those. The other queen that we run is the 5-drop Rebrian. Another really, really good green card. When you play this, choose all your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, KO them. And then when this card is removed from the field, when this card's in rest mode, your opponent has to attack this. They can't attack Unison cards, they can't attack your leader, they can't attack other battle cards. They have to attack this. When this card dies, you can bring out a 4-drop or less from the drop area. The 2 big targets, obviously, for that, one is going to be Piccolo, while the other one is going to be one of the Friezas. I was trying to find it. Probably one of these. Obviously, it's with the skills negated for the turn. but these are the 2 that we want to have on board. And also, when because you're playing it from the drop, you're drawing a card from off of your Frieza pod. So just want to point out how ridiculously broken that card is. But we run 2 of these as our main game finisher. The goal is to get our opponent's hand down so far that they can't do anything when this card hits the board, and then we just swing in and just kill them, because they can't, either they have no cards in hand or they just can't combo out because the cards they have in their hand are dead. 3 Cells or Destroying Kamehameha. What's better than being able to just rip a card from your opponent's hand with your leader ability? Being able to rip a card from your opponent's hand with a extra card as well. So you can swing in with your leader, rip a card, and then activate battle, rip another card, and then swing in with your Unison as a crit card so they don't get any advantage. Maybe bump it up to 4 if I need to, but 3 seems to be pretty good. 1 Through the Dark Banisher, just because it's one of the best Overrealm endgame cards. It's a 4 cost, so it's a little bit better than Fu Shrouded in Mystery. But anytime your opponent activates a skill, you have to choose 1 card in their hand and send it to the warp. So every time they do that, they have to send it to the warp. And then for our SCR, because every deck should have at least 1, we're going to run Smoke. It's just the most generically good one. It's also not a Saiyan, so we can run it. There's no other really good green SCRs that are not Saiyans. So might as well just run Smoke. We can also rip 4 cards from our opponent's hand with this, or wipe their entire board. It just gives us a lot of unique ability to just pressure and just keep their hand size down, or having no hand at all. That is my Frieza deck as of right now. This will probably change a little bit when set 10 comes out, but I'll keep you guys updated. Expect to see some battles with this card in the future. You guys can check that out, and make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.